My name is Melusi Simelane. I'm a communications and advocacy officer for an organization called the Rock of Hope in Swaziland. The situation in Swaziland is very interesting and it's intricate in the sense that there's a legal vacuum in terms of the existence of LGBTI persons in Swaziland. There's no legislation that actually bans it or allows it. In a sense, it doesn't even protect LGBT people against discrimination or against any form of violence. So we have no legal remedy when we're being discriminated against or being attacked. But because of freedom of expression and all the sorts, we are able to form organizations like ourselves, which actually advocates for equality. It actually is a voice for the voiceless, the marginalized groups in Swaziland, which is the LGBTI community. We also focus on sex workers and prison inmates. However, the government is always clamping down on us, trying to ensure that we do not push the conversation forward. My experience is the older generation is a bit more understanding, is a bit more calm about LGBT persons because they understand diversity. I mean, I don't know, it must be their experiences. They've been through a lot of things that we have not been through. They have seen 2 world wars, some of those that I know. They've seen quite a lot change in our region with apartheid falling and everything. But the new generation, there's so much charisma in terms of the religion. There's so much charisma in terms of the culture and tradition. And that means that it becomes harder and harder for us to speak about LGBT issues. So the flip side of it is young people are now learned, young people are willing to learn. And that means forums like the Youth Forum in the Commonwealth Summit actually enables them to get now deeper into the realities of today instead of just focusing on what books say happened in the past. So I think it's really great to have a forum like the Youth Forum where we are able to discuss at the youth to say, this is what is happening now. Of course, this is what happened in the past, but for now and today and moving forward, this is what needs to happen so that we can all live happily in a socially cohesive environment. When we learned about TCEN, we thought, what a great opportunity, because now this is advocacy at a larger scale. Obviously, we're doing it regionally with our regional bloc called Southern African Development Corporation, which is SADC, but that is at a small scale. So with the Commonwealth Equality, it's quite interesting because it goes broader, and it also helps us because it takes us back into history, because we understand that a lot of these laws that actually criminalize homosexual behavior, as they call it, come from the colonial past. So it's interesting to be pushing this advocacy at that level where we are able to speak into the history of it and then be able to come up with how we can move forward in terms of our advocacy to ensure equality for all. Exciting indeed to be organizing the first Pride in Swaziland, and scary if you ask me, because I had a conversation with the board of our organization, the chairperson of the board actually, and he was saying if it were up to him, we wouldn't dare. And the reason is, you know, we're a population 1.3 million. And a lot can change at a short space of time if you have such a small population, because it could either go right or go wrong. We've got prides that are happening all over the world, and therefore we're going to have to compare. We're going to have to look at South Africa, we're going to have to look at London, look at New York, look at Taiwan, because they are still trying to find ground as the LGBT movement, and then look at our context where people are conservative, people believe so much in culture. So it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like, but we are very hopeful, and it is my personal goal that it becomes the biggest Southern Africa has seen yet. I think there is nothing that beats conversation, and I've always said that for me it's about quiet diplomacy. I'm not a radical person, I'm not a rebellious person. I understand the powers that be in our country, but I want for people to allow conversations to go. And for the world, I'd love them to see that even in a small country like Swaziland, where we're living under an absolute monarch, we are able to stand our ground and say we respect the rules and respect the powers that be, but we are going to stand up for our rights, and yeah.